Hello and welcome to the video. This is a quick video on these things here, something that's often overlooked and underestimated of how much trouble they can give you if you have a problem with them. The good old USB cable. Lots of things in the hobby these days are USB-C connections, but there's been lots of different types over the various years. Now, I've made a video about this before, but I'm revisiting it because a patron of mine, John, has just had an absolute nightmare with USB cables and trying to flash and set up things like a flight controller. So I'm remaking this because I'm sure that John is not on his own when it comes to having these kind of problems. Now, I answer dozens and dozens of questions on my YouTube channel on a daily basis, and one that keeps cropping up is people having trouble connecting to their flight controllers. And sometimes it is things like Windows drivers, sometimes it is things like problems with power or regulators on the flight controller being broken or something else. More often than not, it's actually the lowly USB cable that's the issue. USB cables are made to a price point. They're not high-end pieces of equipment, they're not made out of unobtainium. They're pretty cheap and cheerful. They're almost made to be disposable at this point. And we tend to do this to them. We kind of wrap them up into little bits and stick them in drawers, and they get used and abused, plugged in and plugged out. We tug on the wires and not the connector. So over time they can be damaged. So my top tip is, if you are plugging in a flight controller, even if it powers up and all the LEDs come on and you don't hear that bump bump noise in Windows or your Mac or whatever it is and you can talk to it, my first thing to suspect every time I do it here is going to be the USB cable. So I will unplug the USB cable I'm using and go and find another known good one. However, John, that I've just been helping, the patron who's had this issue that's kind of prompted the video, tried 3 cables and just couldn't get the flight controller to appear. So I told him, hang on a minute, go and buy yourself a data cable. And he was not sure what I meant. So he went and got another cable, and then hallelujah, everything started working. So why is that? Well, actually, there's 2 kinds of USB cable. The first one is the full data cable. That actually has 4 wires that goes from one end to the other, and those 4 wires do very specific jobs. Typically, the black wire is going to be your ground. There's going to be a red wire in there, which is going to be a 5-volt supply, which is used to power the device that you plug the USB cable into. Also, that's where the power comes from things like you're charging your phone or your GoPro or whatever it is. In addition to those 2 wires, however, there are another 2, which is usually something like white or green inside the cable. They are a transmit and receive pair, and they are used to send and receive data from the device that you plug in. So not only can you charge the device, but you can also talk to it. However, lots of cables that come with equipment these days are only what I would call charge USB cables, and they only have the black and red wires inside. That means that when you plug the device in, it starts to charge, and that's fantastic. But there is no data cable, so although the USB port will be supplying power, it will not be hearing any information back from the flight controller. And that is why you absolutely need to make sure that you're using a full data cable. Now, how do you know if you're using a cable that's a charged USB cable as opposed to a data cable? Well, the big giveaway is when you plug it in, whatever you plug it into is powered, but there's no bump bump noise on your computer or your Mac or whatever it is you're using that lets you know that you have plugged something in. I would recommend getting hold of a couple of cables that are known good and keeping them in a safe place and taking a bit more care of them. This is one of those things that when you have a problem and you're trying to fix an issue or maybe update a piece of software, you're in the middle of trying to sort something out in the hobby, having the USB cable be the point of failure can make you want to throw your cup of tea out the window. So just be aware of this. Not all USB cables are created equally. The ones just for charge, typically they're a little bit thinner. Not always, but typically they are. But once you have a good data cable that works, keep it with all your radio control stuff and then use that one so you can make sure that every time you go and do something with your flight controller or set something up or plug in your air unit or update your goggles or whatever it is, it's going to work. Thank you for watching the video. If you watch my videos and find them useful, then please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel a lot. If you really like what I'm doing here, you can become a Patreon and support the time I spend helping others and get access to lots of exclusive benefits. Link is in the video description. Remember that all the videos on the channel are organised into playlists, so you can easily use those playlists to find all the videos on a subject that you are interested in. Add Painless 360 to your searches on Google and YouTube, and it'll help you find my content for any particular topic. Thanks again for watching, and as always, happy flying.